By the middle of summer, a lot of tomato plants have turned into a jungle. What started as a tidy little seedling back in May is now a sprawling green monster spilling over its cage. And somewhere down in the shade at the bottom, the leaves are going yellow and spotty. And every year about this time, somebody asks me the same question. Cal, am I supposed to be cutting this thing back, or not? It's a fair question, and I'll tell you honestly, it's one of the most muddled subjects in all of gardening. Ask 10 good gardeners how to prune a tomato, and you'll get 10 different answers, every one of them delivered with complete confidence. So I'm not going to stand here and tell you there's one right way, because there isn't. What I can do is show you how to think about it, because once you understand what pruning actually does and what kind of tomato you're dealing with, the right move for your own garden gets a whole lot clearer. Let the garden do more of the work, as I'm always saying. Part of that is knowing when to step in and when to leave well enough alone. So let's start with the honest question. Do you even have to prune a tomato at all? And the answer is no, you don't. A tomato left completely alone will still give you tomatoes. People grew them for generations without fussing over every little side shoot. So if the whole idea sounds like one more chore you don't have the energy for, you can let it go and still eat well all summer. But here's what pruning buys you, and why most of us do at least a little of it. The first thing, and the biggest, is air. Tomatoes are prone to a whole family of leaf diseases, things like early blight and septoria leaf spot, the ones that turn the lower leaves yellow and freckled, and then brown and dead. Those diseases all love the same conditions, still, damp, crowded air that never gets a chance to dry out. When you thin out a dense plant, you let the breeze move through and the leaves dry off after a rain or a heavy morning dew, and that alone heads off a great deal of trouble before it ever starts. The second thing is related. Most of those diseases actually spend the winter living in the soil, and they get splashed up onto the plant by rain and watering. So the lowest leaves, the ones drooping down near the dirt, are almost always the first to get infected. Stripping those bottom leaves off, so nothing green is touching the ground, cuts off that path and keeps the disease from climbing its way up the plant. And the third thing is that pruning gives you bigger, cleaner fruit and a plant you can actually manage. Now I want to be careful and honest here, because you'll hear people claim that pruning gives you more tomatoes. That's not quite right, and I won't repeat it. A heavily pruned plant tends to give you fewer tomatoes, but bigger ones, earlier and easier to reach. An unpruned plant often gives you more tomatoes overall, but smaller, later, and buried in a tangle you have to dig through to find them. So it's really a trade, bigger and tidier on the one hand, more and messier on the other. Neither one is wrong. It depends on what you want out of the plant, and honestly, on how much reaching and bending you feel like doing. Now, before you cut a single thing, you have to know which of two kinds of tomato you're growing, because the answer changes everything else. These two types are called determinate and indeterminate. I know those are clunky words, but stay with me, because the names actually tell you what the plants do. A determinate tomato is one whose size is, well, determined, set in advance. It grows to a certain height, usually around 3 or 4 feet, sometimes a little more, and then it stops. Right at the tip of each stem, it sets a cluster of flowers, and once it does that, that stem is finished growing taller. Determinate plants tend to set all their fruit in a fairly short window and ripen a big batch around the same time. That makes them wonderful if you've got a short growing season, or if you want a pile of tomatoes all at once for canning or sauce, or if you're short on space because they stay compact and bushy. A lot of the tomatoes bred for pots and grow bags are determinate. An indeterminate tomato is the opposite. Its growth is not determined, not set, it just keeps going. The tip of the main stem never quits. It climbs and climbs, putting out leaves and flowers and fruit all the way up, and it'll keep right at it until cold weather finally kills it. In a mild climate, these can get enormous, 6, 8, 10 feet or more. They don't dump all their fruit at once. They hand you a steady trickle of tomatoes over a long stretch of the season. So if you've got the space and a long enough season, and you'd rather pick a few ripe ones every week than face a whole mountain of them in September, Indeterminate is your friend. How do you tell which you've got? The easiest way is the label. It'll usually say right on the plant tag or the seed packet. If you've lost the label, watch the plant. If it grows to a certain size and its tips turn into flower clusters and it settles down, it's determinate. If it just keeps reaching for the sky and never seems to quit, it's indeterminate. There are also some in-between types. Dwarf tomatoes bred to stay small, but that technically never stop growing. But for the purpose of pruning, if it stays compact, just treat it like a determinate. Keep it simple. Alright, to prune well, you need to be able to read the plant, to look at it and name the parts, and it's simpler than it sounds. There are really only 4 things to know. The first is the main stem, the central trunk of the plant that everything else grows off of. The second is the leaves, those big fronds coming off the stem. Think of every leaf as a little solar panel. Its whole job is to catch sunlight and turn it into food for the plant. That matters because it means you never want to strip a plant bare. Those leaves are how it feeds itself and fills out its fruit. The third is the flower clusters, little sprays of yellow flowers coming right off the stem, and every one of those is a future bunch of tomatoes. That's the entire point of the exercise, so you learn to spot them and protect them. And the fourth, and this is the one that trips everybody up, is the sucker. A sucker is a new shoot that grows out of the crook, the little armpit, where a leaf meets the main stem. It comes out at an angle, roughly 45 degrees, right in that notch. And here's the thing that makes suckers matter so much. A sucker isn't just a leaf. It's a whole new stem in the making. Left alone, it'll grow its own leaves, its own flowers, its own fruit, and its own suckers. It's basically a second tomato plant sprouting out of the side of the first one. That's why they're the heart of pruning. Every sucker you leave is another stem the plant has to feed. Every one you take off sends that energy back into the stems you kept. Now, one word of caution before you go snipping, because I've seen this mistake cost people a whole plant. Make sure what you're about to cut is actually a sucker and not the main growing tip. On a busy plant, the two can look awfully similar. The tell is location. A sucker always comes out of that notch between a leaf and the stem. If you trace it back and it's growing from that crook, it's a sucker and it's safe to take. If you're not sure, stop and look again before you cut. Lopping off your main growing tip by accident sets the plant back badly, and it's a hard mistake to undo. Let's do the easy one first, because if you're growing a determinate tomato, pruning is almost no work at all, and that's good news for your afternoon. For a determinate, all you do is find the first flower cluster, the lowest one on the plant, and remove the suckers and leaves below it. That's essentially the whole job. You clean up everything underneath that first cluster, so nothing's crowding the base or touching the soil, and then you stop. Above that first flower cluster, you leave the plant alone. And I want to really underline that, because it's the single most common determinate mistake. Do not keep pruning suckers off above the first flower cluster on a determinate plant. On these varieties, every one of those suckers is going to give you fruit, and the plant only has so much fruit in it to begin with. So every sucker you snip off up top is a bunch of tomatoes you just tossed in the compost. With a determinate, over-pruning doesn't help the plant one bit. It only costs you your harvest. Clean up the bottom and let the rest grow as it likes. As for how to actually make the cut, if a sucker's young and small, you don't even need a tool. Just pinch it off with your fingers, and the little wound heals over fast and clean. If it's gotten bigger and tougher, use a pair of snips and wipe the blades with rubbing alcohol or a weak bleach solution between plants, so you're not carrying disease from one plant to the next on your own blades. Same goes for any leaf that's yellowing or lying down on the soil. Take it off. And that truly is it for a determinate. A cleaner base, better airflow, and not one lost tomato. The indeterminate is where you've got real choices to make, and where pruning becomes as much about how you want to grow the plant as anything else. The big decision is how many main stems, how many leaders you want to let the plant have. Picture it this way. If you remove every single sucker as it appears, you end up with one tall stem, one leader, carrying all the flowers and fruit straight up a stake. That's called single leader growing, and it gives you the biggest fruit, the best airflow, the least disease, and the most compact, easiest to manage plant you can grow. For those of us who'd rather train a neat tomato up a stake than wrestle a sprawling bush all summer. Single leader is a beautiful thing. If instead you let one sucker grow on, usually the strong one just below that first flower cluster, you get 2 main stems, a double leader. That gives you a bit more fruit than a single, still fairly manageable, a little bushier. You can go to 3 leaders if you like, more fruit and more jungle. I wouldn't go past 3, maybe 4 at the outside, because past that you've basically got an unpruned plant again, and there's no sense pretending you're pruning at all. So for most home gardeners, and especially if you want a plant that's easy to reach, easy to pick, and less prone to disease, I'd steer you toward 1 or 2 leaders, grown up a good sturdy stake, or a length of string. Here's how you do the cleanup. First, find your main stem, then go hunting for the suckers in all those leaf notches. Decide which 1 or 2 you're keeping as your extra leaders, pick strong ones low on the plant, and then remove all the rest, along with anything down low that's touching the soil. Pinch the little ones, snip the big ones, keep your blades clean. And then you have to keep after it, because this is the part people let slide. Suckers grow suckers. Miss a few for a couple of weeks in the heat of the summer, when these plants can put on growth shockingly fast, and your tidy single stem is a bush all over again. So every week or 2, walk down the plant and pinch out the new suckers while they're still small and soft. A little and often is far gentler on you and on the plant than one big brutal cutback once things have gotten out of hand. And I'll be honest with you, I've let plants get away from me by waiting too long, and then had to saw off big stems and open big wounds the plant never needed. Don't do as I've done. Stay ahead of it, and it stays easy. Now here's my favorite part, and it's the frugal gardener's reward for all that snipping. Those suckers you just pinched off, don't throw them away. You can turn them into brand new tomato plants, absolutely free. Here's why it works. A tomato stem has the ability to grow roots all along its length, not just down at the bottom, but anywhere the stem sits against moisture. You may have noticed little bumps along your tomato stems. Those are roots just waiting for their chance. So when you take a sucker 3 or 4 inches long or bigger, strip the leaves off the lower part and either stand it in a glass of water on the windowsill or poke it straight down into damp potting soil. It'll grow its own roots in a week or 2 and become a whole new plant. And because it's a cutting off the parent, it's an exact copy, same variety, same fruit. This is a wonderful little trick for a few reasons. It's free plants, first of all, and I never turn down free. It works fastest with the indeterminate varieties, since those are the ones throwing off suckers all season long. And if you're in a climate with a long enough season, you can root a few suckers in the middle of summer and have a fresh, young, vigorous batch of plants coming on right about the time your first ones are getting old and tired. A second wave, at no cost at all. There's only one rule. Take your cuttings from a healthy plant. Don't propagate off anything that's diseased or struggling, or all you're doing is making more sick plants. From a good plant though, it's about the easiest free food there is. Before we finish, a couple of honest cautions, because pruning is one of those things you can absolutely overdo. The first is about your climate, and it matters far more than most people let on. If you garden somewhere humid and rainy, where disease is your main enemy, you'll want to prune a little more aggressively, because all that extra airflow is exactly what you need. But if you garden somewhere hot and sunny and dry, you want to be careful, because those leaves aren't only food factories, they're also a sun umbrella. Strip too many off in a blazing climate, and you leave your tomatoes exposed to the direct sun, and they'll get what's called Sunscald, pale, sunken, leathery patches where the fruit basically cooks on the vine. So in a hot, bright place, you leave more leaves on to shade the fruit. Same plant, opposite advice, and your climate gets the final say on which way you lean. The second caution is simpler. Just don't get carried away. It's easy, once you've got the snips in your hand and you're on a roll, to keep right on cutting. But remember, those leaves are feeding the whole plant. A tomato stripped down too far can't power its own fruit. So when you're in doubt, take a little less than you think you should, step back and see how the plant responds. You can always take more next week. You can't put a leaf back on. There's one last cut to talk about, and it's the one that stings a little, because it's the opposite of everything I've told you so far. It's called topping, and it's for the very end of the season. All year long, With an indeterminate plant, you've been protecting that growing tip and letting the plant climb. But indeterminates don't stop on their own. They'll keep making brand new flowers right up until the frost kills them. And late in the season, those new flowers are a waste of the plant's effort. There simply isn't enough time left for them to turn into ripe tomatoes. They just siphon off energy the plant ought to be spending on the fruit already hanging there. So about a month before you expect your first frost, and you'll know roughly when that comes in your area, you top the plant. You cut off the growing tip right off the top, along with any brand new little flower clusters that won't have time to finish. I'll admit it feels wrong after a whole summer of babying that growth. But what you're really doing is telling the plant, and that's enough climbing now, put everything you've got left into ripening the tomatoes you already made. And it works. You'll get more of your fruit to color up before the cold shuts the whole thing down. Just remember, topping is only for indeterminates. A determinate already stopped itself when it set that terminal bud, so there's nothing up top left to cut. So there's the tomato. Hopefully a little less confusing than it was when we started. You don't have to prune at all if you'd rather not. But if you do, first figure out which kind you've got. A determinate stops itself and barely needs pruning. An indeterminate climbs forever and hands you real choices. Learn to spot a sucker in the crook of the leaf and the stem. On a determinate, just clean up below the first flower cluster and stop there. On an indeterminate, pick 1 or 2 leaders, grow it up a stake, and keep after the suckers a little at a time. Root the ones you pull off for free plants. Leave more leaves on in a hot climate, and top it off about a month before your frost. If you do just one thing this week, go out and find the first flower cluster on each of your tomatoes and clean up everything below it, the suckers and the leaves touching the soil. That one small job improves airflow, keeps the disease off the ground, and takes about 2 minutes a plant. Try your pruning on a single plant first and watch how it responds before you go down the whole row. And remember that your climate and your variety may want something a little different from mine. A tomato doesn't have to be perfect to feed you. Let the garden do more of the work. I'll see you next time.